Welcome to the Sports Innovation Institute podcast, located inside the School of Health and Human Sciences at IUPUI in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm your host, Travis Smith, a proud sport management alum, adjunct faculty member, and associate editor of the Sports Innovation Journal here at IUPUI. On this podcast, we look to highlight the innovative practitioners and scholars in sports to learn and think the future of the industry together. Thanks for listening to the Sports Innovation Institute podcast. Welcome to the Sports Innovation Institute podcast. I'm here with Brendan Szulik from Silbo. And Brendan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience and maybe say, what is Silbo for one, and then what problem are you looking to solve with Silbo, and how are you all solving it?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Brendan Szulik. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Silbo. Silbo is a digital marketplace that directly connects game providers with qualified sports officials. And so the problem we're trying to solve is the sports officiating crisis. Most people don't realize it, but sports officiating is dying. 10% of refs are quitting each year. And the industry is suffering from a lot of problems. Most notably is a technology problem. That there's very little change, that there's unwillingness to change, and when there is change, it's incremental at best. One of the major issues that we're facing is that in amateur sports, when a game provider actually wants a sports official, most of the time they don't know who that official is. So they hire a middleman, which is often known as an assigner or a booking agent, who then calls and tells these referees where to go, when to be there, how much they'll get paid, etc. In theory, that's a good idea, right? That you might know somebody and, you have 10 games and you call your buddy and your buddy will go out and do it. The issue is that it doesn't scale. How many games and how many refs can a single person handle and assign? Moreover, because the system is so analog and it becomes opaque, it becomes nepotistic, and unfortunately, it can become corrupt. And so Silbo was built to streamline this process. So referees select the games that they want to select based on when they work, where they work, and if it's a wage that they want to work for. And so we're finally giving back choice to the referee. I like to say sometimes that it's the democratization of sports officials.
Yeah, so what sports are you currently working on, and are there any future sports plans to get into different sports? And then also, what age level are we talking about now versus what the growth might be for Silbo? We talked before we went on air about, sometimes the high school level has the high school athletic associations. So maybe they're taking over the officiating with that. But what kind of market growth is there for both the sports and the age range for Silbo?
Yeah, great question. Our average age range right now is probably 8 to 16U. I think our average age game is 11U. I should note that excludes adult sports. You're seeing a lot of growth in adult sports, what many people would politely refer to as beer league sports.
Yeah.
And so I kind of count that out, but the average age game is probably 11 years old on Silbo. In terms of sports, the technology is agnostic. Right now, we've done games in baseball, softball, soccer, basketball, flag football, kickball, tackle football. I like to joke that we could even do Quidditch. We just need to find the refs first. So as long as there's refs for it, the system can handle it. As far as our future growth, right now we believe that the youth and recreational adult spaces are essentially white space, that there's no one who has a significant hold of the market, and that we have the opportunity to be first movers in that space. In theory, could we get to high schools and colleges? Maybe, but right now there's so much room for us in the recreational space that's our focus.
Well, I imagine you could also use this as your kind of opportunity to find what problems you're having, how to tweak it, come out with a better, and then go scale. Because right now I've noticed that you're geographically on your website, you have a great map that it's mostly, you all are based out of North Carolina, I believe, right? So you're kind of obviously have a big footprint there, but seems like you might be trying to get things working smoothly before you kind of scale all across the country? I mean, you're in pockets, but I know there's no place in Indiana right now, so maybe we can get some viewership to help you out.
Yeah, no, that would be fantastic. Yeah, as a marketplace business, sports aside, one of the things that we have to do is be very particular about where we go to until we hit that critical mass. For instance, we're following very much the Uber model that you have to go into a city of your choice, you have to lay the groundwork, and you have to equally populate both sides of the marketplace. So for Uber, it was riders and drivers. You can't have one without the other. So for us, we have to find both game providers and sports officials. So as we've scaled, we've had to be very particular about where we want to go. So far, like you said, it is the Southeast, just because that was the easiest. Everything was in driving distance. Over the past few months, we've expanded to places that we can't drive to. Texas, I guess you could drive to Florida, but that's a bit of a hike. And so that's been our plan. We're looking for larger metro areas because there's a higher volume of games as well as a higher volume of referees. But yeah, I think that we're learning what each different state and each different region is like as we go. Things that are true in North Carolina are not necessarily true of places in Texas. So what can we do to get into Indiana? First, you could make the weather a little warmer.
Yeah, it's an unpredictable climate, I would say too. So
Yeah.
youth sports definitely huge here. So maybe there is. You mentioned Uber, and that's the easiest way to communicate to people like what we are. We're the Uber of X. But I've heard that there is a challenge whenever you have a two-way communication there. So it's interesting you bring up the fact that you're really trying to get two different target markets. So would you say it's even, or is one more important than the other to actually get started of having a league of that's offering the youth sports, or a group of officials, or do they really have to be do they have to be pretty well balanced as you try to build out your business and you're trying to maintain quality assurance, or is one maybe more important than the other?
That has been the chicken and egg problem that has plagued us from day one. If you ask 10 people, 5 will say the refs and 5 will say the leagues. We have operated so far under the assumption that if you get the leagues, that refs will come. Refs are people that want to work, and if we provide them the opportunity to work more games, which Silbo does, then they will gladly come and work the games that are on the platform. So in general, we have tried to find the leagues first. Oftentimes the leagues know a lot of refs, so it gives us a small base to work off of. But as I've said, with our expansion strategy now, we know at least 3 months in advance that we're going to be there. And so we can start advertising before we even sign a league, but we know that we're trying to do them simultaneously.
Hey listeners, a quick message and then we'll get right back to the interview. I wanted to quickly tell you that the Sports Innovation Journal is now accepting submissions. If you have or are looking for a place to publish your innovative thoughts and studies on the sports industry, then please consider the Sports Innovation Journal. We are an open access journal, and our target audience is the practitioner looking for answers to the questions and problems in their job, and we want to attract and publish researchers that are identifying and studying those questions and problems. If you are interested in learning more about the journal and wanting to submit or sign up to be a reviewer, then visit the link in the episode notes or email Dr. David Pierce, the editor and director of the Sports Innovation Institute, at dpierce3@iupui.edu. dpierce3@iupui.edu. Now let's get back to the interview.
What's the technology like? So if I'm a potential official or league referee assigner, am I using an app, or am I just using like a mobile website? Do I have to have an account? What's that like? So I'm assuming that a big play here is the technology that you guys can solve problems.
Absolutely, yeah. When we started the company, we realized that 80% of the problems in the officiating industry could be solved with technology right off the bat. And so that was the product that we created. Obviously, there's a lot more that we want to do, but building the digital marketplace we thought was pretty transformative. I'll actually do a little screen share if you want to
Yeah.
see some of the screenshots and stuff that we have. Unfortunately, I don't have an emulator on my computer to show you. But let's talk about the ref side first. It's a mobile app that's available on iOS and Android. It's free to download, and it doesn't have a subscription or anything like that. So it's essentially free to use. So what happens is you create an account, you enter any existing credentials you have as a sports official. Maybe you're high school certified, maybe you're ASA or USSSA trained or something like that. We will call you and you'll have a brief, 5-minute phone interview in which we confirm your credentials, ask you if you have any questions, get to know you, and make you hopefully feel like part of our community of officials. And then you can go in and you can select the games that you want to work. You can search. If I scroll down here, you can set your preferences about what sports you want to work, maybe a certain age group. Some people enjoy working 8-year-old games because it's less stressful than working, say, 14-year-old games. And you go in and you select and reserve the position. It's a first come, first serve system. So that way, if you see the game and you want to work it, you can do so. And we give you relevant information like a map with directions or people that you need to contact if you're running late or if you can't find the field itself. There are a lot of other features that I don't want to waste too much time on. That there's things that you can track your payment details, you can track your game history and build up a digital resume. There's actually software out there. I don't want to name names, but there's software out there that tells administrators and assigners to delete every season's games and data information because it slows down the product. And so, if you moved from Indianapolis to Raleigh and you said, "Hey, I want to prove that I was a referee," you currently have no option of proving that or validating that because your data was probably deleted. So with Silbo, you can see all your history, you can see all your payment information, etc. And so that's the ref side. On the game provider side, we actually, I want to say this generally, we don't really work with assigners. In many instances, we actually replace them.
Okay.
We do have a handful of assigners that we work with. So again, it's general speaking. But most assigners believe that they need to spend their time assigning. But our philosophy is that there's a marginal difference between Brendan officiating and, say, Bob. What's the difference between a high school qualified ref and a college qualified ref working a 10-year-old basketball game? Not that much. And so we believe that if an assigner is spending their time assigning these recreational games, then it's taking the bat out of your best hitter's hand. These assigners should instead be focused on recruiting and training and allowing technology and an open marketplace, a curated marketplace, to do the work instead.
So your product is sort of like a brokerage for solving the problem of we need a ref that's a good ref in this location at this time. So Silbo sounds like you're kind of solving that problem too, being the broker.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a fair way to put it. So while the referee side is on the mobile app, the game provider side, it's typically done by league administrators or sometimes an assigner, is a web app, and it is mobile friendly, so they can access it on their browser on their phone if they want to, but typically it's done on a desktop. And so you simply upload the games. You can easily reschedule, which is a big deal to people who have that, who host games. And you can see a lot of insights, how much your payments are, what your invoicing is, weather for upcoming days, feedback. At the end of every games, referees give feedback about the league. Was the light out? Were the fields improperly painted or painted at all? And so what we tried to do when we created this game provider web app was two things. One, to make it as simple and painless to use as possible, that it was almost like a set it and forget it. What is the minimum that a league administrator has to do to enter their games and get things done? And hey, they're happy and good to go. And then second was to provide them value add features that they don't currently have access to, such as, determining the quality of referee that they want, determining, whether refs actually like their league or not, and other stuff. So that's essentially how the two sides work. In terms of how the Silbo idea, the product itself works is quite simple. So the leagues or game providers post a game, they set the wages, where the field is, etc. They just input the valid information. The refs go onto the mobile app. We have a lot of machine learning technology that essentially acts as a recommendation engine as of right now. So the referees can see the games that are tailored to them and their preferences. The referee self-selects the games. They go to the game, they officiate it. At the end of the game, they hit checkout. They do ratings and reviews. And then once a week, they get paid via direct deposit straight to their bank account, which is a huge, huge step up for the industry, instead of having people get paid via check, or, having to go to the concession stand to get cash a month later or something like that.
Wow. That's, it does look very simplistic, but you can tell there's a lot of things that you all had to put in on the back end to actually make that possible. With this technology, it is user friendly. You mentioned the shortage of officials. So I'm guessing younger generation of officials, if they're coming in, they're going to be more adapted to being okay with the technology. They're going to want to be able to do it all from their phone. That looks like Silbo is doing. How are you all, or are you helping in trying to grow the amount of officials to kind of get out of that shortage? Have you considered, or have you tried to partner with any sport management programs or former athletes, people that might be looking for some extra money? How is the industry actually, not just Silbo, how is the industry solving that crisis, or are they not solving it?
Yeah. First, I should give a shout out on the technology to my co-founder, Paul. I get to do the fun interviews, but Paul was the real one who created the technology. I'm just the handsome face, or so I like to think. In terms of what the industry is doing to solve the crisis, right now, not much. That no one has really figured out that it's the root cause is the assigner system. That it's hard to figure out, if you're new to officiating, how to get started. There aren't really many good websites. You don't know who to call. You don't know who to contact, and so you give up easily. So Silbo's supposed to change that. That's our goal. That someone can get on their app and figure it out and sign up. And we're working currently on digital training to get people through the pipeline and allow them to work their first game more quickly and easily. In terms of, I'm forgetting part of your question.
Just if you all are, how could Silbo be looking to help to get more officials as the older generation officials continues to leave? How do we actually get more people in it?
Yeah, I think first is well, hopefully, if you agree with me, is providing them access through Silbo. Second is to make people aware. When I started officiating, it was because I had a question. One of my co-founders and I had a question, which was like, who are sports officials? So we became officials kind of on a whim. But most people don't realize that the opportunity is there for them. They don't know that the average sports official on Silbo makes $30 an hour. They don't know that they have skills, having played sports maybe through your teens or through your adult years, that those are skills that you can transfer into officiating, that the games. In terms of what we're doing, one is marketing. We're doing a lot of marketing. I'll give my marketing counterpart, Rachel, a lot of credit. Digital marketing, Instagram and Facebook have proven very valuable for us. In terms of endorsements, we've spoken to a lot of organizations. We're partners with the National Alliance for Youth Sports. We're working with the Wounded Warriors and providing some of the people that they train for officiating to provide them access for games. In terms of more famous people in the industry, two of our advisors are Alan Kelly, who's a 3-time MLS Ref of the Year, and Joe West, who's the head of the MLB Umpires Association and has worked the second most games of any MLB umpire of all time. And so, we have a lot of people behind us who believe in the mission, because everyone wants to provide opportunity. They want to provide jobs, because without officials, these games won't get played. So, yeah.
To wrap it up, I just want to. You had mentioned before we went on air that you were writing, self-publishing a book on the industry. So, what is the book? And what I was interested in was the book written because of Silbo, as far as you realized the problem, or did Silbo come out of you writing the book, like in your head? What kind of came first? Because it seemed like from what you were telling me that they're very similar missions. They address a problem, and so I'm interested. Did one draw you to the other, or did they both kind of come together at the same time?
I would say it's more the former than the latter. As we researched and then founded Silbo and then launched the product, we've been learning a lot. Things that I didn't know 5 years ago, I've learned now, or a year ago, 6 months ago. And so as my knowledge deepened, and as I connected with more people across the industry, whether it was a major sports league or association, or whether it was people locally, a Parks and Rec department, or even a private league, or even many officials, they didn't realize the scale of the problem. They didn't realize that many of these assigners might be corrupt and taking 25% of their paycheck without them knowing. They didn't realize that that they could have a choice, that there was a product like Silbo out there. They didn't realize the diversity issues that officiating faces. 5% of women, 5% of officials are women, yet women occupy 40% of recreational athletes. So a lot of these problems people were unaware of. And so the idea for the book was to get this knowledge out there. There's academic research on this. I'm not making it up. On officiating attrition, on the struggles of creating a meritocracy amongst officials. And so when you're talking about, payment issues, when you're talking about diversity issues, when you're talking about technology issues, people just didn't know. And so my goal for the book is to bring this awareness to the forefront. It's not just sportsmanship. It's not just referee abuse, which again, it actually is a lot, but that there are a whole handful of issues that are harming the officiating and youth sports ecosystems.
Is the book out? And if so, what's it called? And then where could we direct people? We'll link it up to the episode, but where could they actually purchase the book?
Yeah, the book will come out in the next month. I think the tentative release date is October 9th. So I hope everyone will go to Amazon then. So it's going to be on Amazon, paperback. The title is Whistleblower, and it's written by me, Brendan Szulik. And yeah, I hope that everyone reads it, or at least leafs through it, because I love sports. I love the values that sports teach. And unfortunately, whether you endorse Silbo or not, amateur sports is facing a chokehold in the near future if more officials don't enter the profession.
I think there's a big market here for you to be able to find officials, and then obviously youth sports participation. There's still plenty of sports that you all can address once it grows. For those listening and not watching us on camera, what is the website? Where can they learn more about Silbo?
Yeah, go to silbo.ai, silbo.ai, to learn more about Silbo and how we're automating the referee management. And I wanted to thank you and the Sports Innovation Institute, because I think that there's a lot of opportunity for your students, whether they're alumni or current students, to get involved not only as officials and hopefully make a second income and enjoy the world of youth sports, but if they ever want to work with a Silbo, we're looking to find people who are trained in sales and marketing, and people who want to get involved in the sports industry, that there is more to do than just working for a major league sports team. And that it requires industry knowledge. That I was a linguistics major, and people always picked on me in college that, what are you going to do with a linguistics major? I guess I became a knowledge and understand the industry are the kinds of people that we're looking to hire as we grow. And so, I hope that I can connect with more students and alums from your school.
We can definitely make that happen. So thank you for being on the Sports Innovation Institute podcast, Brendan. I appreciate the time, and Silbo sounds great, and I can't wait for everyone to hear about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Sports Innovation Institute podcast. Be sure to follow the Institute on Twitter at IUPUI_SII and let us know what you thought of this episode. If you know of an innovative business, program, or researcher that you think we should have on the podcast, please email me, Travis Smith, at tds@iu.edu. And please consider the Sports Innovation Journal if you are looking to publish your new and creative ideas to move the sports industry forward together.